how do we name it? There we go. We are now live.
Oh, I can't rename it. Never mind.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Depends on where you are in the world. Craig Jamieson is with me from Boise, Idaho. And I'm here on the beautiful Gold Coast of Australia. Of course, Craig and I often debate where's the best place. And today I reckon I've got the best place because I've got 30 degrees Celsius or around about late 80s, early 90s, and warm temperatures and sunshine. Yeah. Well, you got Mr. Potato Head there behind you, Craig. I see
I
there.
do. That's, these people are wondering where I am. I have Mr. Potato Head to let people know.
Yeah. I mean, some of the people down here in Australia might not, and the southern end of the world might not know what Idaho is partly famous for.
Well, I'll interject here really quickly. We got beautiful lakes. We have beautiful mountains. We've got rivers. We've got world-class whitewater. And our license plate says famous potatoes. So that's all you need to know. So, but here's a little topic here is if you ever had a McDonald's French fry, it is probably an Idaho potato. So there you go. So everybody a little bit about Idaho. Yeah. And it's snowing today. So thank you very much. A little bit, not a whole lot.
Hey, I'd like to visit it, but I don't think I'd like to live in it. Hey, folks, we'll just continue on and we'll move away from that. And Craig and I are passionate about business and things and utilizing technology and systems and processes to improve the business, to get more out of it, and ultimately to make you less stressed, more relaxed, and able to achieve your goals, both in your business and your life. That's what we're trying to do with these discussions, is highlight ideas that you can take away. And I've been working on the Gold Coast for about 8 or 9 years. I've been a consultant for 15 plus years, and I focus on the whole aspect, but everything comes down to helping you address 5 questions that I've been told are you looking for each day: increasing sales, reducing expenses, getting a bigger bang for your marketing buck, being more productive, more efficient, both you and your employees, and making more profits. And that's what our job is to do, is to find ways and give you some ideas and insights on how to achieve those 5 things. Craig, maybe you'd like to just tell them a little bit about your background.
Well, thanks, Ross. Just real briefly, my background is pretty much strictly B2B, sales management, ownership positions, actually going back to 1977, and you can work the math from there. I've actually used CRM since the late 80s. That was a DOS-based product called Telemagic that I got started with, but I'm one of the original solution partners for Nimble. Some say I might have been the first solution partner. I don't know. Like Ross, we both represent Nimble. We're going to talk about CRM as we did last week, but we're not going to be talking about Nimble specifically. We're going to be talking about general CRM concepts because, let's face it, if you've gone out there and looked, there's a ton of them that are available, and there's a ton of really good ones too. We happen to like Nimble, so my focus is, Ross is a little bit more well-rounded, in the disciplines that he addressed in his consulting business. I work primarily with salespeople. And I think of salespeople, first of all, I think everybody in an organization sells, whether they're customer service, marketing, whatever they're in a sales related function, to take care of the customer by exceeding their expectations. So that's how I look at CRM in general and Nimble in general. So if I start getting all salesy on you, that's kind of like the only thing I know. So everything goes back to sales for me, no matter. I always spin it back to selling. So, Ross, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, today, we talked about the benefits of CRM in broad terms last week, and one of the things that come up, what is a CRM, and where does the information stay? And we think of only one. You got Xero or MyOb, or you've got QuickBooks or FreshBooks for the accounting, and you've got marketing automation tools, and you've got content repurposing databases, and all sorts of things that you've got data in, customer data in. And one of the things that I like to talk about and encourage businesses to do as much as possible is to have a unified database, or a centralized database. I call it a single source of customer truth. And I just want to clarify too, when I talk about customers, I'm talking about that in a very loose term to encompass leads, prospects, customers, and also your business connections. So it's everybody that a business wants to maintain contact about is a single source of truth. That's what I try to encourage businesses, whether they're my clients or people just talking to me in general about CRM, is having this centralized database, a single source of truth that all parts of the business rely on. And Craig, do you think that CRMs are really only for the sales and marketing and customer service staff?
Well, I think you have to be careful. And, once again, this is going to vary by CRM, and probably by the level of CRM. Certainly, I see it as a single source. Just basic CRM as a single source. This is all your customer data, your prospect data. Anybody should be able to go to that record and see a complete history of, the activity, whatever, the deals that have been working, the leads that you've been following up on, whatever, with this particular customer. Now, when you start getting into things like integrating accounting or marketing automation or whatever, that's something that requires a lot of discussion, and I think a lot of due diligence on the part of the person that's going to be using the product. And where I get concerned when we talk about things like this in a broad sense is that different things mean different things to different people. So if I say a unified database, that might mean one thing to Ross. It might mean something totally different to me. It might mean something totally different to everybody that's listening in today. Both of you that are actually listening to us today, because we're just getting started. So we're building an audience, right? But so it's understanding what are your expectations. And I think that's a really big part of it too, because when you get into talking about integrations with other applications and everything, how do they integrate? Do they integrate two-way? Do they integrate one-way? I mean, there's all sorts of things that come into play. And when I say integration, that means different things to different people. I say, well, it integrates with this. And we go, oh, great. But the big question is, how does it integrate? Does it meet your expectations? If it meets your expectations and you go in there with a full understanding of what you're actually getting, perfect.
Yeah.
You have to do your homework. That's really, really important.
Yeah.
And I think you agree with me on that, Ross. And I know you like 366, for example, for marketing automation, and that is a fairly tight integration. Am I not mistaken?
Yes. And when I'm looking at it too, because not the most commercial product data products, CRMs, are not open source systems, and they're not easily, they have APIs that you got to connect, and there's a whole lot of things to go about getting that interconnection, into integration there. And I don't want to go into it too much, but from my perspective, when I really encourage businesses to share the data across the business as much as possible. I can actually give you an example. A business that I work with, we actually gave the accounts receivable person access to the CRM, because what we were finding that they were sending out the letters to their clients saying, pay this invoice, you're overdue. If you don't pay this, we're going to restrict your credit, put you on cash only or whatever. And the salespeople were going out to see the clients and they were saying, hey, got a new product for you. I'm not talking to you. I'm on a cash only. You're not talking. The two hands weren't talking. And we got the accounts payable person to use the database to make notes in there so that the account managers knew what was going on and they could liaise. And what we found by doing that, we were actually able to reduce the number of bills that were overdue because it became a sweeter system and more tightly. And that's what I mean about a single source of customer truth.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of how it should be used.
Yeah. And the other part of it is, what are you going to use? Why do you want it? Customer relationship management is not a system, and nor is it's about building the relationships with all the people. And I tend to prefer the term personal relationship management. That's what the strategy is. We're now going more and more trying to make things that are personal to us. They're customized. They've got our name in it through the text, not just at the beginning. Hello, Simon Drake. Good. Thank you for joining us. The whole aspect of having that people across the organization personalizing communications and understanding it, then they can understand the relationship. Because if you understand that relationship, you can time things better in the organization to go out. And that is so important. There's a statistic that came out in some research. The statistics I quote come from various research, so I won't do the actual source, but one of them said 60% of users said their CRM helped them improve customer satisfaction. Now today, customer relationship management systems also assumed to include some form of marketing automation, and some do the whole in 9 yards, like HubSpot and Keep, and those larger systems, Constant Contact, marketing automation tools. Nimble has some form of marketing automation or marketing automation that you can send out and segment to groups. And that's where a CRM really comes in. If you have a single source of truth, you can segment the database down and you can build that customer relationship far more robustly if you're doing it across the organization. Okay.
Well, let's expand on that a little bit, because I think you hit a really, really important point. Looking at it as that unified database where accounting goes in and leaves notes for sales or anybody else that's got access to the database. So everybody's informed of the activity that's going on with this particular account, whether it's customer, prospect, whatever. I think that's invaluable. Because let's face it, you've got all these different departments that are various different touch points for the customer, and they're all acting independently. And it's like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand does. And the last thing that you want is surprises. So using it in that manner, I think, is absolutely, because the goal is to exceed customer expectations. That's always the goal. It's the only goal. If you exceed customer expectations, the rest of it takes care of itself. I just can't stress that enough. But so I think that's critical. And while we're at it here, I'm just going to touch on this. I'm kind of the opinion that I always, when I was in selling and everything, I always wanted the customer to know that there was more than just me that was there to take care of them. So I would get other people that were involved in building that relationship. And that could include marketing, that could include accounting, it could include customer service, and all sorts of different points of there, so that they actually see that there's a team that's behind me, and it's not just me. I don't want them to think that it's just me that they're dealing with. I want them to think that they're dealing with the entire company. Now, one critical thing here, most CRMs have privacy and permission controls. So you're going to want to make sure that those are set appropriately. Frankly, I don't think there should be any privacy in a CRM, but that's me. I think that, anybody that's a user should be able to go in there and at least look at, the activity that's occurred with this. They should be able to create notes. They could be able to create tasks and assign them, all of that. But you have to make sure that your permissions are set to allow people to do that. Otherwise, you're kind of destroying the ability to really use it in the manner that it's intended. So,
Yeah. Hey, Craig, that's one of the things that, I agree with you on, is that getting that customer, making it holistic experience for the customer. They know that when they're touching the business, that everybody knows what that is, and it's cross departmental support and collaboration. The other part that people don't think about a centralized database like a CRM for it is it protects the customer not information. So when staff are leaving, if they've got them in a spreadsheet on their laptop, or they've got it somewhere, they can take it with them, and that's your intellectual property that's walking out the door. But also, you've lost information. By having a centralized database, a single source of customer truth, that when somebody leaves, somebody else can pick it up. And one of the things I did with a team that were using a CRM, and some of them said, I'm not going to share my information. I'm going to hold it to me, like you mentioned. They hold it to them. They don't share. And I said, well, look, when you go away on your holidays next year for 3 weeks, who's going to look after your clients and prospects? Well, David is. Well, that's great. So would you like to know who David has talked to, what they've said and what they've offered, and what they heard from your customers and prospects when you came back? Yeah. I said, well, let's open up the database. And what we did was we did that. And after about 4 months, one of the people who was very protective of their database said, don't take this database away from me. I love this, and it gave efficiencies. When people went away on leave, they could actually pick up and answer the call and put it in, and the account manager or the sales rep could see the information of what was said. And that was just so valuable. And you can be more, when somebody leaves for whatever reason or goes away on parental leave these days, you can send a message out to the customer saying, look, John, Mary are going to be on parental leave for the next 6 months, 12 months. And whoever's going to take over, I can't think of another name. I always want to say Fred. Will be taking over.
It's Mr. Potato Head. You never know.
Yeah, Mr. Potato Head will be looking after you from now on until they return. And it supports that activity about tracking and reporting. And to me, it shouldn't be used as a big brother. And you do use it as part, but it should be about knowing what the staff. You're not asking the staff, what did you do with this client or that client? Management should be using the CRM to look at those clients. If they're at the top level, the senior level executives, they only want to see the top 10, 20 clients that the staff are working with. They can look at that, and you get reports for the other things, but they shouldn't be used as big brother. I'm watching your every step, and you didn't make enough calls today. We do have to do some of that, but that's part of sales expectations.
Well, my only interest as a manager, was, that you make more sales, and how can we help you to make more sales? And by allowing me to review deals with you or whatever it may be, those are the goals. It's not to look over. I could care less what you do during the day, to be honest with you. I'm not interested in looking over your shoulder. I'm interested in increasing your production and your productivity. That's it.
Yeah. I see Simon Drake up in the UK is sitting in with us today or this evening his time, and he's making a point that the CRM is an easy way of delegating additional tasks to other people in the business.
Yeah.
And there's an efficiency. There's a making sure and the important part of this, you don't miss the contact with the customer or the prospect or the lead, whatever it may be, who they may be to the organization. And you know that they've got it, and people can know where to go and get that. It's not a bit of paper, a post-it note stuck on their desk somewhere. So that's the areas I want to talk about, a single source of customer truth. And as I say, use the word customer to encompass everybody, because everybody who touches your organization influences the sales that you get, be they a business contact, an employee, or a prospect, a lead, and business connections.
I think you nailed it.
Well, that's good. Anything else you want to add there, Craig?
No, I think that was a really, really good discussion. I think it's I guess just the takeaways here is everybody should be using it, and everybody should be sharing information in an effort to take care of that client or that prospective client or whatever. I mean, knowledge is power. There's nothing I hate worse than getting blindsided. And coming in, like the example you gave, where here I am as a salesperson, I'm out there, trying to promote a new product to my client, and he comes back and says, "Oh, really? I'm on a cash only basis, and you're about to take my business." That's not a good look for a salesperson, right? So I'd rather be, Nimble has that. If we're talking Nimble real quick, Nimble has that little note feature on contact records where you can add a note to the top of the record. You can even color code it. So you could have a red note, and anybody that goes to that record or anybody that tries to reach out to that customer is going to be presented with this note. And that note says, "Hey, this guy's just been put on cash only basis. So no surprises here." But if you're not sharing that database, you don't have that ability. So
that's right. And that's the thing about it. And like Nimble, I've been using Nimble since 2011, I think it is, and I find it is a really great CRM for people who want to share information, and it's really intuitive. And there are over 450 CRMs on the market today. Places like G2.com, Capterra, Trust Radius are places where you can research which ones you want. But if you want to talk about those different CRMs, but you want to talk about Nimble, Craig and I are happy to help you. But we're happy to talk to you about the wider aspects of customer relationship management strategies, systems and processes in your business so that you achieve those 5 things I talked about at the beginning.
all right.
Increase your sales, reduce expenses, increase the marketing bang, the bang for your marketing buck, increase the productivity and efficiency, and make more profits. So you can go to the beach. Go to the beach. Or you can go skiing in Idaho.
We'll go to the river.
You go to the river.
Steelhead. I'm headed out. So thank you, Ross.
Okay, thank you.
For sitting in with us.
And hey, Simon, great to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Bye now.
So what's on the next session?
Oh, next session is on the December 12th. Is that the date? Yes, we forgot about that. Go. December 12th for the North American time. Australian, down here in Australia, will be December the 13th. We've got a special guest because Craig's going to take a bit of a break that day. And we've got Michelle Lee Murta, who is a specialist in helping people use personality types to increase their sales and influence in the market. And she is got a really good story, and her story about her business is amazing. Look out for the post leading up to that. So Michelle will be with us on December 12th and 13th, depending where you are in the world. This is Ross Keating signing off from the Gold Coast.
And Greg signing off with Mr. Potato Head. Well, I guess he's over here.
Yeah, he's just over there. I see him.
Yeah, right. Say goodbye. Okay. He said goodbye. I could hear him. You probably couldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Bye for now, folks. See you, Greg.